Hi everyone, so today we're going to the swimming pool and I'm going to show you how I learned to swim age 50 years old. Now many of you who've been following me for a while know that I was a COVID long hauler, and as part of my COVID recovery I started going to the pool every day because it actually felt so nice to be in the cool water and actually be able to breathe again, because shortness of breath was one of the problems I really struggled with. So I would go to the pool and I would do a couple of lengths of breaststroke in my old granny way because I wasn't a very good swimmer, and maybe one or two front crawl or freestyle, and then be exhausted. It was almost just too much effort to be able to do front crawl, and I was very frustrated by it. And one of the reasons is I've been athletic all my life, like even from being a small child. I've never been able to swim, and that's despite being married to my husband, who swam at a national level and was the captain of his university team in Scotland, and so it just always eluded me. Anyway, so I've tried over the years. I've had swimming lessons, I've just tried to teach myself, and it just never stuck, and I just couldn't understand why. Anyway, as part of my long haul recovery, I decided that I was just going to do it, and I don't know why. I think it was maybe because I just wanted to take control of my health again, because I'd been so unwell. And I remembered reading Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Body. It's not a book I particularly recommend or like, but he did talk about how he learned to swim, and he'd always struggled, and he tried a few techniques to make it work, and they stuck for him. So I watched his TED talk, and I'm going to tag that here, and I watched some videos of total immersion, which is the technique he used to learn to swim, and I pulled away 4 key points from those videos, and that's what I'm going to share with you today at the pool. And I'm going to be introducing you to my son Eilean, who is going to be my photographer. He's going to be getting in the water with me so I can actually film the techniques, and I really hope you find them helpful. And as we go through the techniques, I'll tell you how long I practiced them for, and then how long it sort of took me to put them all together. So I really hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, I would appreciate it if you could like this, share with your friends, and subscribe, and it would help support me bring you some great content. Okay, let's get to the pool. So I went from week 1 being able to do 1 length to week 10 being able to swim a mile, and I did it using these 4 techniques, and you can only make this work if you practice them consistently. I came about 4 times a week, and I just went over and over the same thing all the time, and I have to say that's the only way you can make this work. I also want to say that the way I learned to swim wasn't to make me faster or to be able to compete with people. This was to make me more efficient. So the techniques I'm showing you is to help you be more efficient in the water. It's almost like a lazy way to learn to swim. So let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to learn is how to float in the water, because when you get your body position correct in the water, you can then add on the subsequent techniques. And so learning to relax in the water and float is a really primary key, and this is how I do it. So essentially, you want to have your body in a straight line with your arms parallel and your head down, and just float there. Think of a superwoman position. Ha, not Superman. Okay? Number 2 is learning to reach with your arms, and this was like the light bulb moment for me. When Tim Ferriss talked about learning to swim, he used an analogy of climbing a wall. Imagine rock climbing. If you're reaching up a wall, you wouldn't simply reach, you would twist your body and reach as far as you can. So there's a element of reach that you need to do in order to get the most out of your stroke. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how I swim, but with a reach of my arm. So I think the reason I always found it so difficult to swim for a long period of time is because I was trying too hard, and I think that that's a real beginner's mistake. It's that we just go out too fast and too hard. And so one of the techniques that I learned, number 3, is learning not to kick as much. So when you've sort of established your float and you've learned to reach, you don't need to kick as much. The momentum comes from the arm and the drag of the water. So I want you to watch my feet now and see that the only time I really kick is when I breathe and it rotates my body back to straight again. Hopefully this makes sense. So while we're filming, a thunderstorm is coming in. Oh my goodness! So Eilean and I are going to do this pretty quickly.
Hopefully.
Thanks, Texas. I know.
So while we're videoing, it started to rain and it's really heavy. Well, not heavy, it's pretty light actually.
Okay, the last thing we're going to do is talk about breathing, which I think is probably the hardest thing to get the hang of, and it's the thing that I was freaking out about because I would always run out of breath. So before we get completely rained out on, I'm going to show you how I learned to breathe, and what's happened is I've practiced this more than anything else, and now the breathing is probably the easiest thing for me because I don't have to think about it. So essentially, you want to keep your neck long, your head is going to be in this position, and you're just going to rotate side to side. So if you're in the water, head is down. So think about keeping your head in that position, and then when you swim, you're going to keep your head in that position, and if you have to, you can fully rotate your body. So I'm going to get a video of me swimming and I'm going to exaggerate that roll so that you can see that you can do this when you're learning, and it still will help you with your swimming. Okay, so they're the 4 things I learned. So let's go through them all again. First of all is learn to float, and then learn to reach. That's super important. Stop kicking as much and just use your feet to flip you back to the straight, to the flat. And then the last one is learning to breathe by simply moving the head side to side and over-exaggerating that if you need to catch your breath, and put them all together and you can swim.